Dogecoin and crypto holders were seriously warned today by the U.S. government. I'm sure you know that the big announcement from Biden's government came out today. In this video, I'll talk about its long-term implications on Doge, Bitcoin, and the entire crypto market. Before we talk about the big news, take a look at this news for Dogecoin from today. Extremely high risks and fear among investors led to the growing volume on Dogecoin as investors are not yet ready for serious investment. Basically, investors like the relatable nature of Dogecoin, and its low price point also helps. According to Coin98 Insights, traders exchanged $332 million worth of Shiba Inu on the crypto market, and slightly less Doge worth around $273 million. Okay, now let's come back to inflation. If you thought last month was awful, this month may be even worse. The issue we need to discuss first is that Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve have been attempting to combat inflation by raising interest rates at a faster rate than they had anticipated. But we're seeing inflation continue to worsen, we're seeing prices rise across the board, and this could potentially mean Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve will take more drastic actions, which will have a negative impact on not only crypto, but also on the stock market and the housing market. This will have a significant impact and might even bring everything to a halt. Let's get into the details. The major thing to notice here is that inflation was just revealed to be 9.1% year-on-year compared to an expected 8.8%. Many believed that inflation would start to slow down. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates at such a rapid pace that we expected inflation would begin to taper off, if not reduce, but at least cease to rise at its current rate, but this did not happen. According to a new study from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, prices have risen considerably all across the board. We could see that overall inflation was 9.1% year-over-year versus the 8.8% projected. But looking at the statistics, we can see that month-over-month, for example, for energy, there was a 7.5% increase. In fuel prices, it was the same. For energy commodities, it was 10.4%, and for gasoline, 11.4%. Month after month, there have been significant gains across the board. Then, if you look at year-over-year growth, there have been significant increases, such as energy at 41.6% year-over-year, and this cannot continue at this rate. This must be brought under control, which is why the Federal Reserve might raise interest rates at its next meeting. Now, it's not a question of whether they will, but a question of how much, and this is why markets are reacting badly to all of this news. The Federal Reserve previously suggested that we could expect a 50 or 75 basis point rate hike, while Fed futures rates show that a 100 basis point increase is expected. You can see that there's a 46.4% possibility of a 100 basis point rise right here. So what does this imply for us? As investors, we anticipate a little more pain in the short term. The Federal Reserve may raise interest rates by 100 basis points, not by 50 basis points, 75 basis points, or any other amount. This will also have a significant influence on tech companies and the general stock market. It will continue to hold everything back, regardless of what is going on with Bitcoin in terms of good news, which we will discuss in a moment. This is going to stymie everything for the next few months. But Jerome Powell has a meeting coming up soon. The Federal Reserve meets on July 26th and 27th, so there won't be much of a positive trigger that may cause the market to break out in the days leading up to this event. Really, it'll be mostly sideways or down until at least July 26 and 27, when the Federal Reserve's Jerome Powell issues an official decision. Now, the second thing we need to discuss here is what has been up with Bitcoin, because there is some very good news here. According to CoinShares CSO, Bitcoin will hit an all-time high in the next 24 months. However, she adds, right now, there's still room for some downward correction. Bitcoin often sees an 80 to 90% fall from its all-time high. However, it's now 65 to 70% down from its all-time high. The problem right now is that, as I previously stated, with Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve will further impede the market's recovery. So even if CoinShares CSO anticipates a new all-time high within 2 years, she still predicts a little downward, if not a sideways movement, in the medium future. Inflation is causing a lot of anxiety, which is driving everything down. Therefore, it is advisable to be bullish long-term and short-term. You could just add to your positions. While the short-term isn't so fantastic, the long-term is still quite optimistic for Bitcoin. Coming to the next point, we actually have some great news to discuss. Dynamo, a Korean finance behemoth, has stated that it will invest hundreds of millions of dollars, a total of $380 million, in a variety of Web 3.0 enterprises. They stated that they will invest 500 billion won, which is $380 million over the next 5 years to generate around 10K new Web 3.0 positions, which is quite unexpected given that many of the biggest crypto businesses are now shrinking. They're laying people off, stopping all hiring, and trying to prepare for crypto winter and combat everything that's going on in the market. But ultimately, despite what's going on in the market right now, Dynamo said that they are going to be aggressively hiring people over the next 5 years, investing hundreds of millions of dollars. And this shows that people believe in crypto long-term use cases because they still see a lot of potential for growth. So if you're concerned, I'd advise you to be patient. The market will always rebound, even if it is difficult right now. It's not ideal, but be patient with it. The other piece of good news is that Lightspeed just raised $7 billion across 4 different funds, and this is despite the fact that many crypto companies have gone bankrupt and many companies have been struggling. We're seeing that there is still institutional demand for Bitcoin, for crypto, for blockchain-based companies, and Lightspeed has proven it by raising $7 billion across 4 funds during what is seen as one of the worst times in the crypto space ever. So we know for certain that the money is still there. People are still interested in investing in blockchain technology, crypto, and Web 3.0. It's only a matter of knowing which initiatives to fund. Institutions are just being more discriminating than they were a few months ago when individuals were literally throwing money at anything. So the money is still out there, but it's a bit more concentrated, a little more restricted in terms of where it's going. The last item we should discuss is GameStop. GameStop's NFT marketplace has officially debuted in beta, and we are getting a lot of favorable feedback. We have seen that there's been over 1,500 ETH in total volume within the first 24 hours, about $1.5 million, and we're seeing that a number of collections are generating significant volume. Despite the NFT market being in a bear market, despite the overall crypto market not doing well. Also, we saw with Coinbase when they released their NFT marketplace and didn't do well, so seeing that GameStop is actually seeing a pretty positive response to their NFT marketplace is a good sign for the crypto market and also a good sign if you're a GameStop stockholder. To put it all together, what is the state of the whole market? There is some good news and some terrible news. Keep an eye out for the July 26th and 27th FOMC meeting with Federal Reserve's Chairman Jerome Powell. We anticipate a 100 basis point hike, which will continue to weigh on the dollar and other financial markets, perhaps driving them lower in the coming weeks. Coming back to Dogecoin, it's actually in the green compared to yesterday. We saw a massive dip around 12 hours ago, right around the time the big announcement came out. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, investors are keen on purchasing Doge and Shiba because of their relatable nature. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and comment on this video. Goodbye.